In 621 AD, 3 years after the military governor Li Wan had toppled the failing Sui dynasty and become the first Tang emperor of China, Li Shimin, his son, was taken hostage by a warlord opposed to the new regime. A peasant found the captured prince's imperial seal and took it to a monastery nearby. Seeing the establishment of the new dynasty as the only way to reunite the empire and end years of bloody strife, the monks there resolved to find this wicked warlord and rescue the emperor's son. For, despite their peaceful manner, they knew 100 ways to kill a man. They were the Shaolin, masters of the deadly art of Kung Fu. At the foot of the Zhenzu Mountains in the Henan province of central China lies a holy temple where monks learn to kill. In the 7th century, this Shaolin monastery became famous for the hardest training of body and mind ever devised. The monks practiced every day without fail, whatever the weather. By evening, they would be bruised and bleeding. But in time, their fists became as hard as iron. Their bodies could bear the blows of a staff without flinching. They could kill with the palms of their hands. For this monastery housed a paradox, pacifists who had mastered the art of Kung Fu. The martial arts that the monks studied, however, were in harmony with their faith. To follow the Buddhist path of compassion, one must first root out evil. Many local families sent their sons to the monastery to become learned monks and masters of Kung Fu. One boy who appeared at the monk's door was named Pushang, but it was not easy to gain entrance. However, the masters agreed that Pushang possessed the necessary spirit to become a warrior monk.
Only when the abbot deemed that one had the necessary qualifications to be admitted to those elite ranks would the initiation ceremony be performed, complete with shaving of the head and swearing of an oath in obedience to one's master.
The Shaolin monastery had been founded in 495 AD by Batu, an Indian Buddhist monk, under the imperial patronage of Emperor Shao Wendi of the Northern Wei dynasty. Just over 30 years later, the venerable Bodhidharma, an Indian prince who had renounced his luxurious life to become a Buddhist monk, arrived at Shaolin. It is to him that the origin of the warrior monks is attributed. Bodhidharma's teaching was revolutionary. Rejecting doctrines and scriptures as the way to Buddhist enlightenment, he advocated mind-to-mind instruction and meditation. Only thus, through mental tranquility and moral discipline, could one see one's true nature, he insisted. His approach became known as Zen.
A special tradition outside the scriptures, not to depend on books or letters, to point directly to the heart of man, to see one's own true nature and become Buddha.
Buddhism Buddhism teaches that all human sorrows are the direct result of desire, and that they can be eradicated by following the disciplines of the Buddha's Eightfold Path. Zen short-circuits the process by showing how it is possible to empty the mind of desire. In his quest for enlightenment and self-awareness, Bodhidharma went to live in a cave in the peak above the monastery known as Song Mountain, one of China's 5 sacred mountains. For 9 long years, he remained there in solitary meditation. During this time, to relieve fatigue, he took up daily exercise. Gradually, the techniques he developed, the choreographed movements and deep breathing evolved into what came to be known as Shaolin Kung Fu, or learned skill. Following Bodhidharma's example, all the monks of Shaolin began to take part in ritual exercise. Years of training turned them into indomitable warriors who could kill using their hands or a staff with equal facility. Over the centuries, they became as feared as they were respected, and successful Tang rulers were wise to enlist their support. One who did not was Emperor Wu Tsung, a fanatical Taoist who, in 845 AD, in an attempt to eradicate Buddhism, confiscated the monastery's lands and dispersed the monks. Having been accepted into the monastery, Po Shang began his long apprenticeship by swearing to the 3 rules and 5 disciplines of the Shaolin order.
Thou shalt worship the Buddhist idols. Thou shalt believe in the Buddhist law. Thou shalt respect your masters and fellow disciples. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not indulge in debauchery. Thou shalt not lie, and thou shalt not drink.
In an often brutal land, it was important for the peacekeepers to be pure of heart. For the Shaolin monk could only use violence to purge evil. To take up arms for any other purpose was expressly forbidden.
The main aim of those who train in this art is the promotion of health and strength. One must not use it rashly in the solving of daily problems.
With this understood, the disciple Po Shang was initiated into the rudiments of Kung Fu. This took the form of hours of repetitive movement and deep breathing. Part of Po Shang's schooling was learning the history of Shaolin. To master Kung Fu required unrelenting concentration of mind and body. Such a process was reinforced by his master's tales of the past.
Many years ago, there was a young apprentice called Tai Gui. When he arrived, instead of teaching him the staff or barehanded fighting, his master made him fill an enormous cauldron with water and told him that every day he was to roll up his sleeves and slap the water with his palms. To begin with, Tai Gui was very unhappy with his task, thinking that he had gone to the monastery to learn the martial arts, not to slap water. Every day, Tai Gui would fill the cauldron and then slap the water in it until it was empty. And then he would fill it again and slap some more. This went on for 2 whole years. After this time, he was permitted to visit his family. Everyone gathered and made great demands on Tai Gui to demonstrate his skills in Shaolin Kung Fu. With his relatives and neighbors nagging him, Tai Gui could take it no longer. Suddenly, getting to his feet, he said, "I really have learned nothing. and angrily smashed down on the table with his open hand. The force of the blow was so great that with a crack, the solid wooden table splintered and collapsed. Upon seeing this, everyone realized that the rumors about the Shaolin martial arts were not false.